The kid you hear playing the piano, he's not mine. On top of the 2 weekly piano lessons, I give my son Smarty Pants vitamins to support his brain health. And while I'm supposed to say it's not a competition, of course it is. Choose Smarty Pants vitamins to support your kid's brain health. Shop on Amazon, smartypantsvitamins.com, or at Target today. Brain health support from Key Nutrients. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
AI isn't coming. It's already transforming marketing and business. See how at MACON 2025, October 14th through 16th in Cleveland. Evergreen Podcasts is proud to be the official podcast partner, recording live on-site and meeting with more than 1,500 marketing leaders. You'll learn from leaders at Google Cloud, Meta, Snowflake, and HeyGen, sharing what's working and what isn't. Transformation starts here. And with our special code, PODS200, you'll save $200 off your ticket. Join us at the Huntington Convention Center. Register today at macon.ai. That's MAICON.ai.
Welcome to The Paper Fold. I am your host, Sarah, the Paper Nerd, and I'm so glad to be back nerding out with you on my favorite topic, stationery. Today, it is my pleasure to bring you the second part of my interview with the talented founding editor of The Pouch Zine, that colorful, inspiring passion project for this software engineer turned publishing paper nerd. But before I get to Victoria, my very special sponsor, Avanti Press, has asked me to remind you all that the clock is ticking to register for the card conference in their hometown of Detroit. While Avanti cards tend to not be very serious, its incredible team has been seriously devoted for months to bringing notable stationery names from across the country and even across the pond to descend on the Motor City October 6th through 8th for what can only be described as a paper nerd takeover. Many of them have been guests on the Paper Fold or hopefully will be soon. I'm talking 2021 Co., Barone & Co., Beely & Shove, Bromstead Printing, Designer Greetings, E. Francis Paper, Inklings Papery, Lean & Tree, Willow & Ivy Press, Next Chapter Studio, Notes & Queries, Paper Salad, Quick Brown Fox Letterpress, Red Cap Cards, Seedlings, The Card Bureau, Up with Paper. Oh, and I'll be interviewing in person a CEO you may have heard of, Anna Bond of Rifle Paper Co. Meanwhile, there are retail tours and events galore. We're going to Motown. Apparently, I will be taking a spin on an official U.S. Postal Service boat that delivers the mail. Take it from me, you do not want to hear others gushing about this later and have nothing to add. Thank you, Avanti, for generously devoting your ad space to essentially your competitors. I can't wait to thank you in person soon. Register by visiting greetingcard.org. Just click on Events and Greeting Card Conference to secure your spot. If you have not heard the first part of my interview with my fellow stationery publication editor, please go back to part 1 and check it out. If not, part 2 of my chat with Victoria follows right after this. Hey nerds, it has been a hot minute since I filled you in on all things new with that fantastic and fantastical LA-based brand Girl with Knife. After all, this cutting-edge California house of design has trailblazed its way through paper goods, home decor, and yes, even house design since the incredible creative powerhouse Alicia Castaldi founded it in 2018. You'd be blind not to note the innate glamour of every last larger-than-life Girl with Knife creation, but beneath each one, there also lies an honesty and simplicity that comprises its true design strength. That distinctive quality is typically born on a Girl with Knife greeting card, carefully brought to life slice by slice with Alicia's trusty X-Acto blade. Now, greeting cards themselves are a deceptively simple product category. A card can bridge both physical and emotional distances. They can share messages we don't know quite how to articulate on the phone or in real life, and these messages endure forever. Alicia understands this distinctive magic, and it's evident in spades in her 19 newest card releases. I just reviewed them while editing the summer issue of Stationery Trends, and they legitimately knocked my socks off. Spanning occasions from every day to the holidays, they are so good. I want you to be captivated by them for yourself, so I'll just dish on a few faves. We Are So Connected depicts a white charm bracelet on a black background, but somehow it effortlessly reflects and enhances our closest relationships. Like most of Alicia's work, the design is informed by a fabulous backstory, echoing both how she and her close friends speak to each other, as well as their respective artistry. Believe it or not, one makes charm jewelry that all the others wear. This card's personal origins really make it resonate, just like Girl with Knife's hot off the press Father's Day card, a reflection of Alicia's own eternal adoration for her late father and what she describes as his outlaw spirit, of course. Presented on a sleek black backdrop with white lettering, the copy starts out, "My father, my hero," and rest assured, it will be in the hands of some of the most appreciated fathers this year. Perhaps yours? This card is a forever keeper, and there are 17 other equally mesmerizing card releases, each a mini masterpiece showcasing fresh finesse from this Louis Award-winning Artist of the Year. Meanwhile, design elements find their way from greeting cards onto other Girl with Knife creations. Maybe it'll be a new ultra-thick gift wrap, or perhaps a Luke's candle that incorporates fabulous scents into the design mix. And that, my paper nerd friends, is why Girl with Knife is your BFF in paper goods and home decor. So head on over to girlwithknife, all spelled out, .com and immerse yourself. I just know your spirit will be elevated. Meanwhile, if you are in the trade, shop this top shop brand sensation exclusively on Faire 24/7. I guarantee your stationery, as well as your living and workspaces, will slay. So, it is one thing to love stationery, and it's quite another to bring a publication to life. Again, I'm just so impressed with your read. As someone who's done a stationery quarterly, I think it's like 16 or 17 years. It's just so interesting to see what another editorial voice brings to the category. So in Hot Takes, readers are invited to share their stationery. They're semi-controversial stationery insights. One writes that she strongly feels washi tape should be ripped, not cut. I mean,
I love that, right?
She really feels strongly about that. On another, that stationery lovers should be hitting craft shops for storage supplies. Which tells something. Yes, which should tell something to any of my stationery shops who might be listening to this. Come on, bring in some stuff to store washi tapes. Yes. Category, or maybe a pouch or two.
Ooh, right? Maybe some pouches.
So another sings the praises of crayons. Another warns against using receipts in journals, as they tend to fade over time. You've created such a vibrant, inclusive community, and you point out that part of your mission, again, is to create a space to engage without a huge social media presence. So clearly, your publication does need an Instagram feed and so on, but this is an offline space. And I know we talked a little bit about elevating people who don't have big social media followings, but I want to talk about just having an offline sort of stagnant space. It rears its head in social media, but if you're just doing an Instagram reel about this, or whatever, you're missing out on the whole point. So I would love to hear you speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I think that I'm attracted to analog as a technology. Once again, and I think one thing that's just interesting is just by nature, analog journalers are working in a physical space, right? You're working with something physically. And I think there's just this universal desire to want to share your passion with others. And so actually just even from a modality perspective, makes sense that if I'm working on something literally physical, I'm going to want to
physically meet with other people to share ideas, to share supplies, like a huge, again, it almost comes a practicality thing to want to meet in person, because like, well, hey, like this is just a tiny drop into my collection of washi tapes. It's just like things I can like literally show you. And a lot of people will talk about how washi tapes, love them, but I have so much that each roll has so much tape in it. And sometimes I want to get new washi tape, but I still have my old washi tape. And so like things like meeting in person can even help with like the practicality of like, oh, hey, rather than me just use this entire washi tape by myself, what if I can meet with other journalers and we can swatch washi tapes and like share them amongst each other? I think there's like a lot of just practical benefit to that. But then as you do that, as you meet in person, it's also like, oh, right, and especially in this moment, like the feeling of like gaining a community again, gaining communities of like-minded people who, again, if they're bothering to journal, they probably appreciate a slower, more intentional lifestyle, like understand why you might want to bother to be writing these things, to be, going slow when there's other quote unquote faster alternatives out there, that I think Pouch ends up being sort of a vehicle to introduce like ways of meeting in person, ways of connecting this community in person.
Hey nerds, time for a Paper Baristas update. If you are somehow not acquainted with its dynamic founder, Kirst Asper, my special guest on episode 56, this preeminent paper nerd is not just the founding sponsor, but the inspiration too for my Nerd Notes segment. This all-American house of stationery brews paper goods to do good with an eco-conscious, fair trade business model and philosophy that drastically differs from that of pretty much every other stationery and gift brand I've encountered. While many of you know that every last Paper Baristas offering has literally been upcycled from what would otherwise be thrown out, that's only part of the story here. Since its founding in 2019, 10% of all its profits have been donated to the International Justice Mission to fight human trafficking. A few months back, I shared that Paper Baristas had donated over $30,000 to fight modern slavery. That number has only grown since then. I cannot even imagine how many more people's stories were quietly changed for the better forever from this brand's efforts. Meanwhile, another important element of this brand's philosophy is that fair trade and eco-friendly products should be available and accessible on every last store shelf. So while Paper Baristas recycled, biodegradable, handmade, and wood-free paper feels incredibly luxurious and unlike most papers you encounter, it's actually affordable too. Shopping this vibrant brand is such an easy, uplifting way to honor our planet and those who need help most. With that said, it's not too surprising that this family-owned brand was a 4-time finalist in this year's Louie Awards. Like the Grammys for music or the Academy Awards for film, this program has honored the best cards for over 30 years. And every year, this competition gets more competitive. At the gala last month, Paper Baristas didn't just win 3 of the 4 Louie Awards it was nominated for. Kirst herself also won the Latinx Maker of Note Award, an enormous honor. It recognizes makers from underrepresented communities who are shaping the greeting card industry, but it's not just recognizing their artistry, but their entire approach to the category. Clearly, it was well-deserved. Congratulations again, Kirst. So it's official. Paper Baristas has struck a most resonant chord with paper nerd judges across the nation, underlining the vital importance of the brand's ethos to put people and the planet before profits. Every product blends recycled and upcycled elements. The thick handmade paper is created using pollution-free methods such as sheets that are sun-dried, conserving energy usage, and it's chemical-free, protecting our waterways. Thus, it is no exaggeration to say that every last Paper Baristas offering is a labor of planetary love. Every card is available folded or flat with deckled edges. There are endless undated planners, notebooks, and journals from which to choose. They recently introduced an incredible plantable collection, and every last home good is a thoughtful heirloom in the making. So, if you are a paper nerd in the wild, start your caffeinated stationery journey at paperbaristas.com. And if you're in the trade, hit its fair top shop to get a gander at their new seated gift bags, tea towels, and Swedish dishcloths, as well as their incredible paper sheets at wholesale, just in time for the junk journaling trend. However you bring this brand into your life, be sure to tell Kirst that Sarah sent you. So you're in Brooklyn. I didn't realize I was going to see this when I went to Chicago Stationery Fest, but I saw all the people gathering at the tables and journaling together and meeting up. There was such an excitement in the air, and just, it's a feeling that's very hard to kind of put into words. It's almost like a modern sort of quilting bee, I would
Absolutely.
say.
Yep.
Just communing and being creative together, and everyone just sort of feeding off of each other's energy.
Yes.
I have a feeling you went to Yoseka, and I see
I
that.
did. Yes.
And I see that.
I tabled there. Yes,
Oh,
I was a
wow.
tabler there. Yes, I actually one of the pouch articles, the how do you stationery. This is from a informal poll that I ran at Stationery Fest about journaling preferences. But then, of course, I ran a printer workshop as well there.
Oh,
and,
yeah, just a small detail.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that part. But yeah, I did the rounds. Yeah, Stationery Fest, wonderful.
Did you go to? So you've been to? Did you go to? I know there was one in It was Dallas.
Oh yes,
and
yes.
then there was one in LA, and the LA one advertised in your publication along with my good friends.
So
I shout out Janine. I mean,
yes,
oh my quotations advertise. I'm like, why am I not surprised to see Janine here?
We were our booths were right next to each other. And Yoseka Stationery Fest. Yeah, we were neighbors. Yes. But yeah, I've only been, I've really focused on the local Stationery Fest more from a pragmatics perspective of pouch is just me. It's still very indie operations, even though it's so much fun to travel out of state and check out these other events. It's just pragmatically has not made sense yet. Yeah.
Not everybody can follow the dead. It's like, we do lives. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love seeing these stationery clubs pop up. I'm seeing a few on Instagram where they have meetups or they go on crawls or they journal together. If you could give, this is my last unscripted question.
Yes.
If you could give one piece of advice to someone who has a stationery and card shop, who maybe mostly does cards or, how would you recommend that they integrate this junk journal, this analog excitement into their store and offerings?
Oh my goodness. Okay, actually, we're really excited about this question.
Good.
Yes, I think journalers and stationery nerds are craving more opportunities to meet in person, community spaces. So you can kind of have any excuse to hang out with other journalers. And I think people will show up. It's also a pretty tight-knit space. If you're able to tap into one or two people in your neighborhood who are journalists, they probably know so many others and want to congregate. So I would give actually a few other.
They're looking for this. They're looking for spaces. They're
looking for sticker swaps. This can be a little complicated. I'm going to ramble about this. You can cut it. Pros and cons to a swap. Swaps can actually be overwhelming because people have so much stationery that Yoseka actually did a stationery swap a few years ago. And actually there's so many people who came with so much stationery that they wanted to trade. It actually became overwhelming because it was just so much. There's literally enough stationery to probably have a whole secondhand stationery store based on that stock.
Yeah, you should come visit my office.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine. Right, and then multiply that by 40 people who are showing up.
40 hoarders.
Yes. So I think it's good to have some guidelines, maybe, hey, bring max 10 stickers to share, or bring one roll of, or 3 rolls of washi tape to share, some parameters. So it's not just oh my gosh, all the hoarders have just come descended upon your store.
On my store.
Yes.
And boxes of merchandise. Yes.
Yes.
It quickly gets overwhelming. Yeah,
exactly. Why I suggest a swap is because I think it kind of signals to a journaler too that what this community does and needs. Like, this is like a kind of a something too that like, you know, in New York, in Brooklyn, in a bigger city, I think probably in LA, like this is more common. And so like, if you're not in like a big stationery hub city.
Yeah. You're actually in a tiny little town that only the people who live there have heard of, you know, and there are paper lovers and I assume journalers there as well. So
yes. And people want that experience and they want to share. And like, especially, I think I'm something that a lot of journalers enjoy is like, if they're really passionate about journaling and their friend is interested, but they're like, I don't know, I would have to get all these supplies. I don't like, there's like a kind of matchmaking element of like the super stationery nerd who's like, I have too many stickers and notebooks. And like, here's a person who wants to get started. It's like, yes, I would happily share with you these things and share ideas. So like I think in doing a swap, the sort of community aspect of it, like just lends itself naturally to that sort of event, as opposed to, again, these events are also great, but I think if it's something like simply like, okay, like Hobonichi is going to be releasing very, very soon. They're doing all their announcements. I love Hobonichi. I'm obsessed. It's also just a brand that like stationery nerds who are already into it are going to know the whole thing of like, oh, they're releasing the new covers. So I think a swap, what's inviting about that is it's not brand specific. You can be totally new to journaling, never did it before, and go and, you know, pick up some great stationery. And you can be a complete stationery nerd who has every single thing. It really brings it's inviting to people of all experience levels and all interest levels. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like as a retailer, like, you know, you don't need that much to do that or to have a swap or to have a journaling session. Like you might just get like 10 pairs of kid scissors and, you know, some magazines and, you know, a few other things. I mean, some stores are so smart about it. They might say, okay, it's $3, but everybody gets a spot and
right.
Fast, but you're going to have a drink. And this is stuff I sell in my shop. And, you know, they make it more of an experience too. It seems like people are really hungry for that as well. Like these, like in real life, experiences, if a store can make it like a little more tailored, as much fun as it is to be like, oh, we're all going to meet here and go here. It might be fun to be like, oh, we all signed up for this and this store is opening up to us and we're all going to just show up and have a great time.
Absolutely. Right. Because I think too, for instance, I hosted a launch party journaling meetup thing for Pouch Issue 2 launch. And yeah, there are some of the journaling meetups. I think one of them's Cozy Travelers. Like for their club, for their like group as an outing, they went to the Pouch release party, right? Like it's like, it's something where the people, if they have a club, if they have a Discord or something, like this can be something for those organizers to be like, rather than them having to set up the event, they can say like, cool, like the stationery store is setting up an event. So all we have to do is like all go together, right? Like, and I think that can be very inviting. And like I said, again, I think like, as you say about how there's like a hunger for this, I think it just makes sense. Keep talking about technology, but I do mean it. It's like the dissonance between what do you want from digital experiences and what journalers want from their experiences, what analog journalists tend to want is a better match for meeting in person than
totally.
Again. So I think, again, we need more. I would really invite even more stationery stores or retailers to consider hosting these events because I think journalers are really excited about it.
Yes. And, you know, this is a tactile in real life type of community.
We'll be right back after this.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowes.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
And we're back.
I wonder too, how much was born, from COVID, where it was like everybody went on their screens and we were all separated for so long. It's like, now let's do something with our hands and we'll get together to do it and, and actually go to a store as opposed to just buying something online. Like there's a real craving for it. And I love the community that you've created. I mean, you've created your sub community, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And I'm really going to enjoy seeing it grow and seeing where you take it. You should be so proud. Pouch is really a labor of love, and it was an amazing experience to read. And so yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Yes. No, absolutely. Like it's been so fun. I think, I think it's another just really special thing with folks who are working in the physical space and working in analog, because like, as you would know well, it is a lot of work to make a magazine, right? It's a slow, very slow. And sometimes the layouts you get this great idea in your head and then you put it to paper and you're like, okay, that's not going to work it out. Okay, let's try this again. And so by its nature, also, again, don't know if this will make the podcast, but it's also, the margins are not good from a business perspective.
Oh, you don't say for publishing? Oh my gosh, yeah. I've never heard.
Right? It's like the margins, I'm like, Pouch as a business of a magazine. It's like, well, there are easier ways to make money. Let me tell you that.
Far easier.
Easier. But I think, the benefit is that when you find the people who know that and who do it anyway, like you get connected to this really rich group of passionate people who are doing things out of love. And I think both in the quality of the community and also just the quality of the product, it just feels so much different. And I think that's what makes it worth it.
Yes. And, it was interesting that you said so you're annual, you do one issue a year. I've worked on monthlies. I now work on a quarterly, which I really like because I feel like the production cycle is long enough that you can like really work on something, but you're always thinking about the next issue.
Monthly? I like literally like, monthly. How do you do monthly?
Yeah, you need a team, but quarterly's nice.
Yeah.
Quarterly's nice.
Yeah, like quarterly seems nicer. Yeah.
It feels very organic to like the way the year unfolds. Like that I really like. But I feel like when I'm in production and maybe this is hitting the fan or maybe this is not quite working out how I thought, I'm always thinking about the next issue. I'm always like, well, next time I'll do it like this. And with a year-long production cycle, like that might be a little more complicated. I'm not telling you to up your issues, but I think it'll get easier over time. Like it's really hard to, start something and make processes and figure everything out. But it gets easier over time. I mean, you're working on your third issue now?
Yes. Oh, no. So again, to go into the weeds a bit with Pouch, I would like, if possible, to kind of stay more zine-like, more passion-based and less of a business. I don't want to have to start making the trade-offs. Like Pouch came out of a passion project for mine.
Yes.
And it was not intended to be a business. And I think I want to...
You can tell when something's a business and you can tell when something is a passion.
Yeah.
I'd like to think.
Yes. And so like, I don't want to be making those trade-offs. So therefore I can't work full-time on Pouch, right? So for me personally, I'm currently actually working on print software.
Oh, cool.
Like that, I think for Pouch Studio business wise, I think what I'm going to have is like a sort of hybrid of Pouch magazine and then print software that at some point there will be some sort of monetization, whether that's through Patreon or I don't know if I offer a paid service.
Right.
I don't know. It's too early.
Sure how to do that. That makes sense. That sounds like a very good model. And it sounds very practical. To me.
Yeah. So that I can keep Pouch. Yeah, exactly. Not have to worry about things like, am I selling enough copies of Pouch? Do I need to like devote a certain page count to advertisement, something like that? I keep that sort of simple and then like figure out the business decisions separately.
Yeah, totally. Look, there's a reason why so many publications have gone under,
Yeah.
difficult. It's a very difficult business model. But if you can keep your editorial sharp and communicate with your community, like, yeah, you can find a way to sustain it. It might evolve. It might, sort of change a couple times, but you've got to find what works the best for you. Once it starts becoming an albatross around your neck, then it gets harder to generate the editorial. You just don't feel
100%.
It feels like work, and this feels like fun, and
exactly. And like you said, I think readers can tell. So part of what I try to tell myself when making like pouch, because as you can imagine, there are moments where it's fun. There are other moments where it's like I am in design and I'm just like, oh my God, like losing my mind. But I try to remember to remind myself to have fun with it, to like remember the joy. Because again, I think it's like both, of course, in making the product that will make it much more fun and enjoyable. That's why I'm doing this. But also I think, this is also gets communicated within the product. Readers can feel when you've enjoyed producing the work that you've done.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. And it clearly comes off. And I mean, like, before I get to nerd notes, I just want to talk about this cover image because it's so funny. It's a lot of bunnies and they're in a museum and they're looking at journal spreads on the wall and they're like excited. One's journaling, one's handing a pen to another. One is taking a picture of the spread with their phone.
Yes.
But it's, you've really brought a lot to this world, and to translate an activity into a zine, it's not easy. And I just think you've just done an amazing job. So
thank you so much. Please. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been such a fun journey. I think one of the best things about working independently is like, even during the hard times, I'm working on skills and working on problems I want to be working on. So it's really just been the greatest privilege truly of my career to be able to like spend time working on pouch. And so I appreciate the words, and yes, I feel very like lucky to be able to be in a position where I can spend as much time as I do making pouch.
Love that. So, all right. Well, I always close with nerd notes. I switch up the format just a little bit, and I ask guests to share a memorable card or letter they received, just the first one that comes to their head. So let's hear yours and the circumstances around it. I have a feeling it's going to be interesting.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, oh my gosh. Well, now that you said that, it's like I'll tell you my backups too. Yeah. Okay. So I have a couple, of course. So a couple meetings. So one is, this is the most recent card I got. Let's see. Sorry. I blurred my background. I don't know.
You blurred your background. That's okay. I think if you hold it right up, we can see.
Okay, this is
technology. Oh, congratulations. Oh, that's a pretty one with the foil. Yeah.
Yes, it's very pretty. So this is my partner and I recently got married, and so we have a card. Yes, thank you. A little greeting card from a friend of ours who's a travel nurse. So her name's Virginia, and she just, the message is personal, so like I won't read it aloud, but she just,
no.
Yeah.
Are you making a junk journal of all your wedding cards? Like I found in mine, and again, like my first junk journal, I'm like, I want to do a carousel spread, but I feel like it needs a little work. But one thing I love about it is that in this one, like I'm just taping envelopes in it.
Yes.
So that I can then just read the card and
put it in. Right. You can preserve the card.
Yeah, it's more likely that I'm going to look at it in this than sitting on my shelf or collecting dust in a drawer or what have you.
Okay, so yes, and I'm actually planning to create, this is going to be unsurprising, a zine. I'm creating a zine for our wedding. And it's going to be pouch level. Like it's to be clear, it's not for sale. It's just for personal friends. But
of course, you're going to do a zine of your event. Of course.
Yes. So we have all these wedding photos, and we have all these. We want to. So we actually did a micro wedding. We didn't have a big production. It was just me and my partner. And so we have all these beautiful photos from the micro wedding. And so we want to share it with everyone. Why not put it in a book and like send it out? We're even thinking of things like, okay, we didn't have a wedding cake, but maybe we'll instead like have a recipe for a cake that we really like.
You could do a page and just go through wedding magazines and be like, these are my 10 favorite cakes.
Yes.
Think I should have had.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm planning to have like a zine planning party where we're kind of just like riffing off of like what are what are classic elements of a wedding that I'd rather interpret in zine form. Side note, part of why I wanted to do zine, is I'm actually not great at like big events. Like I find a lot of anxiety. I get a lot of anxiety like being in front of a big crowd versus like, okay, zine, I'm in my element. I can like, so to me, it's like an interpretation of a wedding instead is like, this is another way to bring people together, another way to share stories, another way, through analog publication. Anyway,
I love that.
Is,
and you know what? It's so much more memorable and personal than, most people get the big photo. They wait a year or however long to get the photos from the photographer and they're in a big fancy album and you look at it like twice. It just sits on the shelf. So like, I like this. I love that. And
and it's kind of fun too.
That you're turning one experience into another. Like it's very interesting to me.
Thank you.
Sort of like putting the whole idea of like, what is a wedding? How do we commemorate a wedding? How do we remember a wedding? Like you're sort of turning that on its ear. And how do I make it an activity? How do I make documenting it an activity for me and my
friends? Exactly. I'm excited for the zine. Like, and even, I'm sure you've had the experience of like, you meet someone after your wedding and you're like, they become such a good friend and you're like, I wish I could have invited you. And it's like, well, if my wedding's a zine, I can print out the zine, like, hey, let me retroactively invite you to the wedding. You can experience this.
You can experience everything I went through, without actually having to put on like a fancy dress. Or I know you didn't do that, but like a lot of they require a lot of you. So you can experience it and also really feel like you know the people. Half the time you go to a big wedding and you only talk to the bride for 30 seconds, so.
No, that's another thing. We were talking with my partner about it. It's like, we can have like writing about both of each other. Like we can, include some information about our friends, like things like that. So it's like a lot of the elements of a wedding can be done in zine format. So it's fun to experiment.
It lasts forever. A wedding, like you look away, you miss the dog going down the aisle or whatever, so.
And it, of course, they're expensive.
Yeah, there's that. And of course, that whole consideration and all the pressure that is put on you to have this, that, and the other thing. And it does take away from the main thing, which is, you're marrying someone.
Exactly. It feels like the energy is being spent on an activity that I really enjoy, which is making zines. And like in the making of the zine, again, the same things that I talked about with journaling of like actually like sitting in the moment, thinking about my partner, thinking about a relationship, spending time writing down thoughts about a relationship. Like it felt like a better fit for me personally.
Totally.
And for this moment.
Yeah, I love that. Aw, well, that was a lovely card, and you said you had a few. So
yes. Okay. So this is sorry. So this is not.
I'm fascinated. I can only imagine what the next one's going to be.
Okay, this is it continues to play on this where again I background's blurred, but this is a zine actually. So this is a zine that I made. Yeah, it's about with Virginia. We went to a zine making event right after. And so actually, can I try unblurring?
Yeah, try to unblur it. It's fine.
Let's see.
Let's see. Effects. I think if you go to people, do you have that?
Shoot. Okay. It says visual effects cannot be changed while recording.
It's okay.
Darn. Okay. I'll just hold it close.
Yeah. Okay. Go back a little bit. Think future. Yes, I can see it right there. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. And then we have like this. Basically, I just like wrote
self-portraits. They're so cute.
It's honestly, it's another tip if you're wanting to get into drawing in your journal. Really, if you practice drawing yourself a lot, that actually makes the whole exercise a lot easier because you can, a lot of times you're drawing yourself doing something. So, and then like if you practice drawing yourself, you can practice drawing people. So, Anyway,
start with what you know. Like it's the first rule of writing, journalism or anything is like start with what you know. Well, it's
100%. Yes.
Too. Like I know what my face looks like, or I know how I would want to depict myself.
I will say, I also think that's part of the why journaling has become so popular right now is too. It's like one of the most accessible forms if you want to get into creative writing, into design, into illustration. Great way to start. But anyhow, yes, the zine I made also with Virginia, and I don't have it on me, but my husband and our friend Virginia, we all made little zines during this event, and we all like shared copies with each other. So anyway, I just wanted to share.
I love that. I love that. And I love that zine is like, it's like a letter times 100,
Yes. Exactly. It's like this, I think like what I love about like this format is you can interpret it however you'd like. So that's also something I tell friends of mine who are trying to get into journaling. They have this idea that it's like, I just sit with a pen and paper. I have to write my feelings. And I told my illustrator friends, it's like, you can literally just choose a sticker that you think feels right for you like that day.
Or like, I like this and call it
Exactly. And same with like, if a letter feels intimidating, you're like, I'm not used to letter writing. Try making a zine, try drawing a picture, was there just an image that you saw that you thought was interesting that you want to send to a friend rather than texting it to them? Maybe try printing it and sticking it in an envelope. See what happens. See how that feels.
Well, this has just been so amazing. I cannot thank you enough for dropping by.
Oh my gosh.
So much fun. I'm still a little jet lagged from Vegas, so I haven't been wanting to junk journal at night. So now you're inspiring me to get my act together and fill this up so I can start another one.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're wrapping up, but like I too, like I think one of the things I'm practicing is just like listening to my emotions, right? Because I started a new journal. I started a new one because I was like, you know what? Whenever I'm feeling like my journals are a little bit too heavyweight, where I'm like, it feels like a chore to like
to do
update
it. Yeah,
them.
like I have to produce something.
Yeah.
Like it gets to feel like a chore.
Yeah, that's when I'm like, maybe I should switch it up. That's like a sign to me to switch it up. So like my latest journal, I actually have a big boy, like this big hardcover sketchbook that, I've been like more freely, it's all blurry, but it's like I'm more freely writing in it.
A little personal too. So that's fine. Oh, and now I see.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. An intentional blur. But yeah, like again, I think that's what's fun about notebooks, especially when they're only they give me $10, even if they're like more expensive, it's like $20, $30. It's still not like, let me go buy a new computer. $500. It's like, it's,
And each of them is a record. It's something that you put yourself and you discover it and you're like, oh, what was I? Oh yeah, I remember that. And wow, I forgot all about that. And when it gets to be too much of a chore, start a new one. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, combine them all later. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, figure it out. You'll figure it out. Like for now, you're just kind of going through the process and,
Exactly. And you can do your techo kaigi at the end of the year and, review your systems. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to have to get the spelling of that word from you when we get off.
Yes, I will.
But anyway, this has just been amazing. Thank you so much.
So much fun.
For coming by, and we've got to stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely. This was magnificent. I had such a fun time talking with you, and I could absolutely talk about this for multiple more hours. So please, anytime, I would love to chat with you more.
Thank you.
Thank you times two, Victoria. It has been such a joy to not only visit with a fellow stationery editor, but also a paper nerd in the wild. This community of makers and retailers can learn a lot from your insights and passion. Finally, thank you for listening and for listening this far. Of course, feel free to give me a 5-star rating and review if you are so inclined. It will help new paper nerds find me. The Paperfold is proud to be a member of the Evergreen Podcasts Network. To learn more about this dynamic, incredible community, please visit evergreenpodcasts.com. Thank you so much, nerds. Please stay safe out there.